Remarkably, the US dollar looks sapped and cannot find support from upbeat macroeconomic data released recently. Its index sank to the lowest level in 2 months. The greenback is out of favor as investors take into account declining yields of US Treasuries and the Fed's rhetoric setting the stage for further ultra-soft monetary policy. Traders hope that the US Central Bank will upgrade the outlook of the US economy in the wrap-up to the policy meeting. Nevertheless, the US Fed is widely expected to stand pat on its monetary policy, which tolerates inflation acceleration, thus putting extra pressure on the US dollar. Unlike the United States, consumer inflation in Europe seems to be subdued and predictable. Traders can draw this conclusion from the inflation report for March. Soon, investors will get to know inflation trends in the Eurozone in April. On Thursday, Federal Statistics Agency Status is the first to report on consumer inflation for Germany. According to the consensus, consumer prices could grow 0.4% on month. That should speed up an annual pace of inflation to 1.8%. On Friday, market participants will find out inflation data for the whole Eurozone. On Thursday, the market is anticipating preliminary GDP data from the United States for the first quarter. In the first estimate, experts reckon that the US economy expanded by 6.6%, sequentially in the January-March quarter. Such confident growth is likely to support American assets. On the other hand, the positive impact could be overcast by a weekly update from the US Labor Department. The number of initial unemployment claims could increase again in the week ended on April 24. Nevertheless, this data should be analyzed bearing in mind previous reports. The last update logged the lowest number of first-time claims for unemployment insurance since March 2020, when the US imposed the national lockdown. So a minor upward retracement would come as no surprise. At the same time, data on continuing jobless claims is of great importance now. Unlike initial claims, the number of continuing claims for unemployment benefits goes down week by week. According to flash estimates, the indicator dropped roughly to 3.5 million in the week ended on April 24. Such a steady downtrend should improve sentiment on the US economy and American assets. On early Friday, the market will find evidence for optimism about China's economy. Investors will find out trends in the manufacturing sector, the key sector of China's economy. According to information from China's Federation of Logistics and Purchasing, business activity in the manufacturing sector is likely to improve in April, pushing the appropriate PMI up to 55.9 points. The news on the green shoots of recovery in the second global economy is sure to reinforce appetite for risk across financial markets. So risky assets will receive a boost. In the European session, traders will get to know long-awaited inflation data for the Eurozone. Consumer inflation could have accelerated to 1.6% in April in annual terms. In essence, this indicates a gradual revival of consumer prices without a threat of spiraling inflation. If the forecast comes true, the market will certainly welcome such information. Notably, the print of the headline inflation is going to lock its strongest score over the last 2 years. In other words, the CPI will surpass the pre-pandemic rates. Another catalyst for the Euro's growth will be a report on the gross domestic product in the Eurozone's countries. In the flash estimate, analysts reckon that the European economy moderated a slowdown to 1.9% in the first quarter. Nevertheless, a sequential GDP change will lock the print with a minus, thus proving a contraction in the economy of the Euro bloc. At the end of the trading week, traders will again find an excuse to cement optimism on the US economy. Market participants hope to find evidence of robust consumer activity in March, following a slump in February. So they are anticipating data on personal spending. The negative dynamic in February came as a result of abnormally cold weather. Consumers are expected to increase their spending by 4.3% in March. Importantly, consumer activity accounts for almost two-thirds of the US national output. No wonder the upbeat data on consumer spending will encourage investors to shift focus back towards the US dollar. You were watching Forex Trader Calendar on InstaForex TV channel. We wish you profitable deals and have a nice trading with InstaForex.